Cowboys Training Camp. Live from Oxnard, California. Powered by AA Best Bail Bonds, Southern Recipe Pork Rinds, and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
It is the Blitz here on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. AA Best Bail Bonds, Dallas Cowboys Training Camp coverage. He's Joe Reinagel. I'm Jason Minix. Nothing like starting off our day one at training camp coverage with the boss man.
Going right to the top.
Executive Vice President Stephen Jones. How's your Monday? It's a player day off.
Yes, it's kind of strange having Monday be a day off, but that's how it fell. Our schedule fell, and obviously they've got with this ramp up period and the rules that we have, they make you stick with them. So it's interesting not having a practice day on a Monday, but everything else is full force.
Well, the problem is, Stephen, is even though the players have the day off, you never get a day off. You or Jerry, either one, you got to be answering questions about what's happening and what's going on. So you're always working.
Well, it's a good thing because we don't really call it work. We get to enjoy this and don't feel like I've worked a day in my life since we have been involved with the Cowboys, and just blessed to get to be involved in something like this and fired up about our football team.
Well, and you think about this offseason, a lot of talk about contracts. Now, today's Dak's birthday, and
Yes.
I've been saying for a long time, I could
Happy
see
birthday,
Jerry
Dak.
and Steven coming through on his birthday with a massive contract. What are you going to do to prove me right?
I wish we had control of that.
Oh.
So, right now the ball's in his court, and we're waiting to hear from them, and they understand that the ball's in their court. But anyway, I do hope Dak has a great birthday today, and I'm sure at some point here Dak can call it an elated celebration or whatever he wants to call it, but we want to continue to work hard to get his contract done.
Now, Stephen, you said earlier you have presented a contract offer to Dak and to CeeDee. Is that correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
we keep having multiple exchanges with CeeDee in terms of what he's doing. He actually, not that we're going to do this every day, but, he actually sent us something late yesterday. So we continue to grind away on it. And, I would characterize both negotiations as very cordial and upbeat, and we're optimistic we'll continue to work toward getting something done.
I know it's not as easy as maybe it looks like on the Hard Knocks offseason with the New York Giants, but you say they're difficult. What's the hard part at this point that you could share with us about what makes it difficult to get a deal done?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just getting people at peace with where the numbers might fall. And certainly, it's more than just the APY. It's more than the total. It's more than, hey, what's the guarantee at this point in time or that point in time? What's the actual cash flow of the contract? There's a lot of moving parts when you're talking about this amount of money. I mean, it's you're obviously talking about big dollars, whether it's in the 50s or the 30s. It's a whole lot of money, and certainly, this is generational type contracts for these guys, and they deserve what they get because they play the game at such a high level. Whether you're talking about a Dak or a CeeDee, at the same time, deep down, I know they don't. Their agents don't like to talk about it, but they understand what we're trying to do. I mean, whatever we don't pay Dak or do pay Dak or don't pay CeeDee, it's not money that we're going to save to go buy a car with. I mean, this money's going to be allocated to other people on this football team. And that's what we're trying to do, is just we're trying to manage it. And Jerry and I have just happened to have the final say in how we do that, with a lot of great input from Will McClay and his staff and Mike McCarthy and his staff. Certainly trying to figure that out. But this isn't something where we're trying to save money to make money. We're trying to just figure out how to put the best possible talent we can around what we've been fortunate enough to draft here. A guy like a Dak, a guy like a CeeDee, a guy like Micah, a guy like Diggs. I mean, those are all guys that we're trying to, move it around for and make it all work so that we can ultimately do what I know everyone in this organization wants to do, whether it's the coaches, the players, the ownership, is win a championship.
Stephen, for the first time since Dak arrived here with the Dallas Cowboys, I've heard him say that, well, if I have to finish my career in a different uniform, so be it. I have to do that. It's the first time I've ever heard him say that. How difficult is it to fit everything into the box that you have to fit in? And if you have to make a difficult decision like that, I mean, you have to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
other teams have to do it.
Well, we don't think, certainly Dak's a resilient guy and strong-minded, and that's what makes him special. He's got, rare leadership qualities, and, he just goes out there and goes to work, which my hat's off to him for that. But, we think in terms of being real positive that we're going to get this done, and we don't picture Dak in another uniform at all. And we want to just keep grinding and get to a point where we can get him signed, because we do believe, that the worm's going to turn and he's going to win a championship for us, and believe he's the guy, the right man for the job to do that. And he's, like I said, he's got rare leadership qualities with this football team. He's like the Pied Piper. Everybody wants to get in behind him and follow him, and no one's going to outwork him, and no one's going to do things the right way more so than number 4.
Stephen Jones joining us here on the Blitz, and you say that in regular season he's been incredible. Second in MVP voting last year. His playoff record speaks for itself. What gives you the confidence that he can lead this Cowboys team to a Super Bowl?
I just think, guys like that, it eventually goes their way. When you work that hard, eventually things are going to come to you. And I think that's going to happen. I mentioned to another group over here this morning, I think a guy like Matthew Stafford, homegrown product from Highland Park, who had, grinded it out, played at a high level, but didn't win a lot of games there at his original team, and then goes out to L.A. and wins a championship. He gets with the right group of guys. I think we're eventually going to put the right team around Dak, and he's going to get the job done.
When you look at that, and obviously CeeDee Lamb is a big part of putting the right group around. You've got some young wide receivers as well. You guys really going with the guys that you've drafted because of the contract situations, obviously. What gives you the confidence that these young guys can step up and get the job done?
I think, at the end of the day, you evaluate them and you make a decision, hey, can these guys play in this league? And certainly, we didn't draft Cooks, but Cooks has been successful everywhere he's played. Been very productive. A guy like a Turpin, we've seen it firsthand, him make plays, on the biggest stages in terms of what he can do in space. Tolbert just keeps getting better every year. We evaluated him as an eventual starter type receiver in this league, and he's certainly gotten under Cooks' wings, and I think he's just going to take another step this year. He played really well last year, and he's already making plays out there in camp. And then you got a young guy like Brooks, who we thought really played well last year, made the team, and got his feet wet in some games. And all he's doing out there so far is making plays. We don't have any pads on yet, but he's a long guy who runs great routes, and the game's important to him. So we like our crew.
Stephen Jones joining us here on the Blitz 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star in Oxnard, California. The running back room and the offensive line are two of my personal biggest areas of concern with this team. What do you see in your running back room as pads go on tomorrow and we get ready for the start of the season?
Yeah, I think obviously having Zeke back, a seasoned veteran, if you look at his last 3 games, he really played well and for New England when he got the opportunity. And I think he's fresh. He didn't have a lot of tread off the tire last year in terms of, the number of carries he had up there in New England. But, I'm excited to get him back. And then, Freeman is really starting to get some attention out here. And he's a guy who had success with the Rams, kind of pinching her. He was available out there so late, and he's just come in here and, done a great job. He's not only a good second, third complement to Zeke type running back, but he's also a hell of a special teams player. And I think he's going to be a great addition to this team. And then certainly you got the Ricos and the Maliks who, when given the opportunity, in regular season games, have done a good job for us. So I think it's a very competitive room, and we feel good about it. And then, from an offensive line standpoint, you saw Guyton going with the ones last year. It wasn't too long ago where Tyler Smith was having to do that in Tyron's place. So, guys get opportunities and they step up. Now, Tyler Smith's one of the best offensive linemen in this league, and certainly between Guyton and BB, makes us feel really good about having to make very difficult decisions with Tyron Smith and Biotic.
When you look at it and talking about the defense, obviously a big loss with Sam Williams out for the season.
Very difficult.
and feel bad for him, obviously, but it's a big blow to the Dallas Cowboys as well. Do you see somebody stepping in those shoes, or is it a possibility that you could go out and find somebody else?
Well, right away, one guy who's popped out at us is Nealon, and he's really flashing out there, and I know Zim's excited about him. And, people said last year, well, maybe you didn't draft as well. The guys didn't play, the draft picks didn't play as much. Well, I think that's going to be a different narrative this year. I think between the two offensive linemen, Nealon, Marist, I think they'll step up and do some good things. And we drafted Fehoko a couple of years ago. He'll get a chance now to step up. And then, as you mentioned, nothing's ever player acquisitions 24/7, 365. So I know Will and our personnel department are back there, as we speak, looking at options and opportunities, and we'll see where we end up.
Stephen Jones, does it feel different this year at training camp? When I say that in relation to last couple of years, we've come out here and from the national media types all the way down, everybody's talking about the Cowboys are a legit Super Bowl contender. You're not hearing that this year. I know inside the room the expectation is there, but not having it from the outside, is that better for this team?
I don't think it really, as Jerry said so eloquently, we're tired of winning the preseason pub deal. We want to be the ones they're talking about at the end of the season. So we like our football team. Tad points it out to everybody. I think we've got 14 Pro Bowlers and 12 All-Pros. So it's a good, sound football team. And we think we got some good young guys that we drafted. We call it kind of our supplemental draft. And then we got guys like Overshone and John Stevens and guys coming back from injuries that weren't able to play last year because of unfortunate ACL injuries. And we get Diggs back. So we really like our football team.
Let me ask you this, Stephen, if I can, about Trey Lance. How do you see him developing? And is there a point in time, if you don't see what you want from him, that you have to say goodbye? Or do you have high hopes for a guy like Trey Lance?
We got high hopes for Trey, and he's going to really get to see a lot of action here over the next month. And certainly we know what Cooper is, and he's a seasoned pro, a seasoned veteran who can shown that he can win a lot of football games in this league. But Trey's going to get a lot of opportunities. Dak's not going to see a lot of action, which he never does in the preseason in terms of the games. And as we said, we know what Cooper is, and think the world of Cooper Rush. He stepped up when Dak's been hurt a few times and really won some big football games for us. And so we feel really good about our plan with Trey, and be interesting to see how he does. We're going to see a lot from him.
Have you been the idea of trading the draft pick? It's almost like that was your 4th round pick this year, but you got a lot of time with him in the building last year to evaluate him. How different has that experience been?
It's been great. I mean, you want to get a guy, and he checks all those boxes. It's just his big deal is getting on the field. I mean, he didn't play a lot in college because of COVID and playing at a small school up there 1 year. And then, of course, he got injured in San Francisco when he was going to be the starter. So big thing Trey needs is just he needs some experience and, game experience. And we're going to give him a lot of that in these preseason games.
That's what it's there for, man. Have him be Mr. August.
Yes.
When you think about where you're at right now, and I know pads go on tomorrow, has there been somebody that has surprised you through minicamp OTAs that I know you brought him in for a reason, but who's that one guy that you're like, man, we really hit on this guy?
Well, I think our draft picks are all on job, and I mentioned quite a few of those guys, but one down the line is Carson, the corner. Keeps making plays. He's batting balls down. He's getting picks. He's a guy that is going to really push that corner room, and I think make some activity. Of course, mentioned Freeman, that he's been shouldn't have been a surprise because he's productive with the Rams, but he's even shown up more so than we expected. So it's a good group. I mentioned the other young guys, Nealon and Guyton and BB and Marist, but in general, I would say that draft class, along with the guys who were hurt last year that are coming back, a guy like Overshone and John Stevens, look forward to all those guys, making contributions.
I just want to know, Stephen, which game is Dak going to coach? Which preseason game? He did that last year. Is Mike going to give him another shot?
Mike's in charge there. We'll let. I'm sure he will, but we'll let Mike answer that one.
There you go,
Right.
Stephen. It was nice to talk about things other than just a couple of contracts, and it's nice that football is here and we can start going that route. Although it'd be nice when those deals are done. I know you're probably hoping that happens sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Well, those are just things that have a life of their own, and you live with them and you work with them, and one day you wake up and they're done. So we'll get it done.
Good deal. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones, appreciate you joining us here on the Blitz.